So there are various ways of closing, and here is puppy close. Let me click on it and see what type of close that is. When it comes to puppy close, you are going to ask questions such as, can I leave it with you for the week? Which is exactly what one of the salespeople that came and talked in my class did with the family. They left an all-terrain vehicle, ATV, with a family, and they played with it for a week, and they fell in love with it, and they kept it. Okay, just like when you get a puppy that you want to keep it. So that's some kind of things. Go on, spoil yourself. So you kind of let them have fun with it, and the moment they have fun with it, they are more likely to start using it. Just look at it. Isn't it so lovable? So you kind of make an emotional connection with the product that you are trying to sell. So there are various words that you can use. This is what we call the scripts, right? So you can use some of those scripts, some of those words to kind of use that particular close if it is appropriate for that situation. Another important thing, the opportunity cost close. Opportunity cost is a very famous economic concept, and this one goes like this. So how does it work? You highlight the cost of not buying and hence show that the actual cost is not as high as it appears from the price. You may be charging maybe $25,000, and they may feel like $25,000 is a lot, but by not having that $25,000, they may be losing out on very good customer deal that they could have sold too, and they missed out because they did not have this particular equipment. So ask them, is it worth not having this machine? Something like that. So here is an example. If you keep your existing fire system and it fails, what would that cost you? So you're asking them a question. What would it do to your reputation? The cost of not upgrading looks much higher than getting the latest system installed now. So we are offering the latest system. So maybe this is something that you should take seriously. That is a nice close that I would like you to consider. Sometimes that is where you are showing the cost benefit analysis. What is the benefit of having your things, and what is the cost of not having your thing? By looking at that, and also what is the cost that they are paying to get your thing. By looking at all these different options, you may be able to make a sale. Okay, now you don't want to be too pushy. That's one important thing about sales. When salespeople are too pushy, then customers may feel like, oh, I don't want this person to be controlling my purchase. So you need to give them space, and so you have to give them a little bit of time and space for them to think. And here are some examples. I can see you are carefully thinking about it. I am going to step outside for a couple of minutes so you can decide in your own time. That way you are able to get out of their purview, and they will be able to make their own call, and they will also feel confident that you just did not sell it to them. They made a conscious decision to buy. So you are giving them that opportunity. So perhaps you would like to talk about it together. Why don't you sit in the car and see how it feels? Take as long as you like. I will be here. Now that is probably a very good sales technique when it comes to selling a car, because selling a car, they are sitting inside the car and they feel like, oh, this car is so nice, and they want to feel the full effect of sitting in a brand new car or maybe a used car, if that is their dream car in some way. And then there is another thing called compliment close, that it looks really good on you. For instance, you kind of give them a compliment saying that they look good in that particular jeans or t-shirt. Wow, you really know your stuff. Would you like to buy this now? You kind of make them feel good about their own prowess, their own knowledge or skill and talent, and then you just kind of use that as an opportunity to sell. That dress looks really good on you, ma'am. So when you say that, then people are kind of going to be feeling a little shy, because you just gave them a compliment, and at the same time they are also going to think about you in a good sense. Maybe that is a good time for you to close as well. Alternative close. This is one of my favorite as well. An alternative close works by offering more than one clearly defined alternative to the customer. So here is an example. Would you prefer the red one or the yellow one? Which color car would you like? Would you like one packet or two? So if you are selling sweets in a Godiva chocolate store, you can ask them, would you like one or two? You just tasted both and you just said both are really good. And you know you have to really go to 3 or 4 of your friends' houses. So why not you take more than one? So like that, you kind of give them opportunities to explore more, and also you are able to give them multiple options. Which of these 3 instruments seem best for you? So you are showing them 3 different instruments and asking them to choose one. Shall we meet next week or the week after? Again, you are giving them an option rather than just only one time, Tuesday at 8 o'clock. You don't want to do that. On 1, 2, 3 close, there is a very famous advertisement that I have seen in the US television that says, good things come in 3. And that's exactly the key idea here. Summarize in sets of 3 items. We will give you this, that, or the other. And the other, sorry. So here is an example. This product is cheaper, faster, and more reliable than the competition. This car that you are trying to buy is cheaper, faster, and more reliable. The houses here are better looking, better built, and better equipped than those on the other development. If you are selling house, maybe you can use those 1, 2, 3. If you buy today, we will give you insurance, tax, and a full tank of fuel when you are selling cars. So you have to think about those benefits, and you can present it in 1, 2, 3 close. So there are various ways how you can approach it, and giving them the opportunity to think about it, and figuring out whether it is a good product for them or not is a good idea. Okay. Now, when you come to the book, they are giving you a bunch of different closes as well. We have already seen easily about 50, 70 different types of closes, and here are some from the book. A direct request quote. You, after answering all the objections, you are asking them, can I write up the order we discussed? And if they say yes, that's well and good, because that is essentially closing the sale, right? So you can do that. The other one is actually benefit summary close. That is, you are going to summarize all the benefits they will get by buying the product. So you can put all the benefits 1, 2, 3, 4, and then costs 1, 2, 3, and then you can kind of show that the benefits are more than the cost and they should buy. So you can do that. Otherwise, you can put a dollar value on the benefits and a cost on the dollar value on the cost, and then say, hey, you know what, the benefits are more than the cost, so they should buy it. Like that also you can do it. The next one is what we call the assumptive close. So what is an assumptive close? And the explanation is given below. It asks a question that when the prospect replies, she is committing to the sale. In other words, you are assuming that the customer is going to make the purchase. And that type of sale might also work in some cases, okay? And whether it is the right one for that particular customer for that particular occasion, it's you that have to decide. Alternative choice close. I already told you that you don't want to lock your customer in with just one particular choice. You have to give them multiple color options, multiple choices, so that they can choose from them between 2 or 3 options, so that they are not feeling bad about having to deal with only one choice. And then the complement close. It really looks good on you, something like that. Okay, so this is what we call a complement close. That might also works. Especially that might work when it comes to when they wear a pant or a t-shirt, okay, or when they wear a ring. Especially if you are selling wedding rings, complement close will be a really good thing, because they want it to look good on their fingers. And it also connecting two peoples, right? Two people in their lives. So you have to kind of use some type of emotional connection as well, and you can use that as a way to close that particular sale opportunity. Now, there are some sales that can be very complex, okay? This is where, you have to deal with, say, $1 million or $2 million sales, and it can really take a long time, and it will have a lot of kinks, and you have to meet with the customer multiple times. It's not like a one-off sale. and if they buy it from you, they are likely to use it for the next 1, 2, 3 years, and they will want to have service in the long term. In those cases, you really have to understand that you have to discover the need, diagnose the solution, design your product and services, and you should deliver without fail. Okay, so these are all some nice things for you to think about when it comes to asking for an order. And here is a funny way of thinking about asking for an order, that is, you are essentially twisting the arm. We don't want that to be the case. Okay, so these are all some important things when it comes to how to close effectively. So think about these things, and we will come back and talk a little bit about negotiations in section 12.2. We already covered a lot of negotiations in the previous chapter, but in the book they have given it in 12.2 under the section, in the chapter 12, closing the sale. So we will talk a little bit about what is given in the book.